Coda Country Chats fans. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. We are here, season 5? What? That's crazy to me. And on our first episode of the season, we are joined by Jay Webb. How are you today,
What
Jay?
up? I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that this conversation came together before your album drop. Listeners out there, Jay is releasing an album called Where to Find Me on July 25th. So coming up right around the corner. Let's talk a little bit about the album as a whole, because I'm going to get in with you and just let's talk a little bit about the tracks individually. But I really want to know, what was your thought process in bringing this album together, this collection of work?
So, yeah, I'm super excited that it's finally here. I feel like I've been waiting for years, even though we made it pretty recently. I feel like this is exactly where I'm at right now. You know, we made it so recent that it's not like it's an old project we're just now releasing. I was very blessed to be able to go in and just make this body of work and just have it come out pretty soon. So I'm pumped that the fans are going to get to hear all these songs that I've been just rehearsing in the studio and getting ready for tour with and everything. And I feel like these are by far the best songs I've ever made. So hopefully it feels elevated and it feels like we're heading in a big direction.
Absolutely. Talking about the title track, Where to Find Me, it starts off the album. So automatically I was like hooked as soon as I heard it. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration for that song.
So Where to Find Me came like kind of, I want to say, later on in the process. We went in for a week and a half and just went at it, just trying to make the best songs we could get. And when we landed on that one, it just felt like such a big song. And it almost was like this moment of, dude, if this is not the album title, like what is? It was just so perfect. And it has this like undertone of like almost like this country dark thing, but it feels big and stuff. So it just felt like the right thing. It felt like the album title when we made it, and I was like, let's run this. So we'll see. We'll see what the fans think on the 20th.
Absolutely. Well, and listening to that compared to some of the other tracks on the album, I was just telling Lexi that like everything is so different. There wasn't a song when I was like, okay, this sounds just like the thing that I just heard. Everything has its own unique flair. And I really appreciate that, because it's really just something that I don't know, depending on the day, I can vibe with different songs at different times, and I'm sure the listeners are going to feel that too. So you just said that the process in developing the album as a whole, like, didn't take very long. Talking about the title track, how long would you say the process took, like, getting in the studio to record it, and then like mastering it and putting it on the album? How long would you say that took?
Dude, it was a day. I like to go in. Yeah, I like to go in and I hate waiting. Like, I'm super impatient.
Yeah.
So I like to have something when we leave the studio that day, at least 90% of what we're going to, what'll be the final product. So we went in, we always write the song. We try our best to produce the song out that day, if not really get a vibe for where it's going.
Yeah.
But that one for sure, we went in, we wrote it, cut vocals, produced it, and then all that was left to do is like obviously mix and master it and stuff like that. But that's like, we get it pretty close. So it's just probably comes off as just me being super impatient is what it comes down to. I like to hear something in the car when I'm riding home from making it. So that's what we did. Yeah, we spent the day making it and we did it.
Call it impatient. I would call it, you know what you want. You have it in your mind. You know what your goal is. You're like, this is it, and it's going to happen today. And that's amazing. Me with my ADHD brain, like, I don't know, I'd be all over the place.
Same.
Okay, let's talk about the most recent single that you've released off the album. One More Shot, again, very different vibe, a little bit more vulnerable. Tell me about maybe the place in your life where that song came from, because I don't know if it's personal or anything like that, but I'd love to know a little bit more about that.
It is. Yeah, so I went through a really big loss last fall with my grandma. I lost her, and she was like my favorite person in the world besides my wife. But we went through that, and I kind of went in this period even before we lost her where it was like the anticipation of that. It was kind of like I started drinking pretty heavy and just relying on alcohol to kind of like numb the pain a little bit, I would say. Mm-hmm. And just got to a point when we were making this album that, like, I remember the day I got up to write this song. It was to the point to where I'm waking up I'm shaking, you know what I mean? Like I'm reaching for the drink way too early,
Yeah.
just to stop the shaking, and then it's not making me feel great either. So it's just this cycle that I got into, and breaking out of that was just such a tough thing that I never want to go back to that place. And so that song is just about almost the need for that once you get in that spot is like just one more shot, you know, to numb the pain and to almost get you back to feeling normal. So it's definitely a super vulnerable spot, and I'm almost reluctant to play it because I know, you know, people at shows are like, you know, yeah, that's great, and I'm
Yeah.
like, actually,
Right.
this is really deep, and it's
Right.
not the greatest spot, but it is definitely true, and we just kind of poured it out into that song, and didn't take long. We just told the truth, you know.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, I'm sure there are people at your shows who also kind of experience that feeling of, maybe they're there at that current moment to numb the pain of something else going on in their life. And I
Mhm.
don't know, I talk about this a couple times on the podcast about how important music, just how important it is to just kind of like let your feelings out, because there are times when we just can't do that and we just don't know how to cope with things. And sometimes music like this song specifically really resonate with a bunch of people who need to hear it.
Right. For sure.
So man, I really love that one specifically whenever I was listening to the album, just because it was one of those songs that kind of struck me as like, okay, there is a story here. There is something that happened. There is something important that someone else needs to hear too. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk to big shift in gears here, okay? Worst behavior. And then when I took notes on this, I was like, oh, this is a party song. This is perfect for summer. This is going to be a great song for everyone to hear that gets us back like in that party vibe. In the right of worst behavior, would you say that this is a line that you brought to the table, or was this an idea that somebody else had?
It was. I hate to. I write with like all my good friends, and I hate to take that. I got to take that one though for sure. We had written I think another one that day, and it was maybe 11 at night or something, and we were in
Wow.
at my friend's studio, and we were in his like downstairs little kitchen area thing, and he was I think walking down the stairs, and I was just trying so hard. We were trying to cram everything into this week because we were getting all these ideas, and I was having like almost like this like manic mode of just like let's go in and make all these songs right now. And I just started like hitting the table and like singing that melody, you know, and those literally it was like one of the only time on the album I think that the words were with the melody just right then when we got it. And he walked down the stairs and was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "I think this is really cool. It's different, but I think it's cool." And we just kept singing it like on a loop. Walked up the stairs singing it, literally laid it down, and then probably spent an hour and a half writing the rest of the song. It almost wrote itself. And I was like, this is super different. This is not like the rest of the album, but it feels like a little uplift at the end there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to know what everybody thinks when they hear it, but I love it.
That was my takeaway. I was like, okay, all right, here we go. We're vibing on out. So let me ask you this, and you just kind of talked about like how the melody goes with the words. Do you find yourself that you write words before you write melody, or do you feel like they go hand in hand, or are you a melody guy? How is your process whenever you're writing any song?
Yeah, I'm a big melody guy. I find that after I moved to Nashville, before I was just writing everything by myself, like, and I would have like the mic here, and I would just sing, you know, melodies, and then I would put words to it later. Since moving to Nashville, everybody here seems to be big like lyric guys.
Mhm.
So it kind of, I think it's a great combination with the way that I write. So, but yeah, I like to have melody first. I have a very hard time. I can have song titles, like a
Yeah.
title or an idea, but like as far as just like if you had these words down and then you have to put a melody to it, I find that to be like almost backwards of what it should be. So I like to come up with melody and then see what that vibe is and then write from there.
No, that makes sense to me. Yeah, for sure. I'm a melody girl, so yeah, it makes sense.
Sick.
Okay, and then beer before liquor is another one that I wanted to chat about, because again, another change in pace, another, I don't know, it was very trying to think of the band that it made me think of, like Stained, or like,
Yeah.
yeah, just what, like one of those like more alt groups that really like, I don't know, I really like this vibe too. So tell me, with all of the changes in style, genre, whatever you want to call it, all of it's still country music. Like, and that's what I love about it. Tell me what vision you had in your mind when you sat down to come up with the sound for Beer Before Liquor.
Yeah, I think Stained is a great reference. I didn't think of that at the time, but I'm a big Aaron Lewis fan, and I think his voice
Yes.
is so cool and the vibe of like dark country and
The
stuff.
guitar, like specifically, I don't know
Yeah,
what it was about. Yeah, about the first
yeah.
little riff. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think for that the reference may have been like a Nickelback vibe, but like
Yeah.
country Nickelback. I'm a huge Nickelback fan too. I know
Cool.
they get a ton of hate, but I think that was like we always reference Nickelback. We're like, dude, like it needs to be that catchy, that thing. So, and then I just wanted like an outlaw, um, like it's like beer before liquor, liquor before the cops come. Like a party song. But if you're like partying in a place you're not supposed to be partying in, like
Hmm. Yes.
somebody else's property.
A little, yeah. That's funny. No, 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 no. I love that idea though. And it's, I don't know, for me, like I said, hearing those four songs specifically as standouts to me on the album, I'm sure you have your own standouts on the album. So I'd love to know if you were to tell somebody, go listen to the album, here are my top three that you have to listen to. Which
Yeah.
songs would you tell them?
It'd be Stoned, probably Where to Find Me, and When We Fight.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, where, when we fight was one of those I was like, ooh, this title is catching me. I want to know. Like, what is, tell me about the story of that song too.
Yeah, so When We Fight was the third song we started that day. So a lot of times I'll start like a few songs and like maybe I'm not feeling them all the way or something, and like I don't love trying to force it. So like that was the third little start that we had, and I was like, okay, this is finally it. Let's write this. So I was just praying we didn't fumble the bag and just like, all right, let's make sure this is good because I love this title and I love this idea. And we finally hit it with that after like two other song starts we had that I just wasn't feeling. And then that was definitely what we were going for. I love the title. I love the idea. It was like not like anything else I'd ever written. So I was happy with that. And we've been rehearsing it for the new live show, and it just kicks ass.
Speaking of the new live show, Jay, you are announcing that you are going out on tour. Tell me what you're
Yeah.
most excited about starting out on the Where to Find Me tour.
Yeah, I started touring in 2024, and I've I've not been on the road a ton. We've done a ton of shows, but not a lot of years or anything. The set has been kind of the same since I started, and I'm just excited for. We have a new intro song. I mean, we've got 7 new songs we're putting on the set, and
Nice.
so it flows different. It's going to be if you saw me even this spring, this fall will be a totally different show. Yeah, it's a different vibe. It's still a party, but it's just so much. I feel like the music is so much better and it's elevated. So yeah, we got like 30 dates I think for the fall that I can't wait.
Are there any places that you haven't been before that you're looking forward to going to this time?
Yeah, New Mexico. We haven't been
Ooh.
really a lot out west. States out west that I'm just so excited about. I'm not sure if we're flying or not yet, but it's gonna be just a different experience being out there.
New Mexico is one of those places that I've never been. I haven't had the chance to go out there. I've been to Arizona, I've been California, but yeah, I feel like New Mexico is just beautiful though.
I know. We ended up there the other day. Our flight got like changed because of weather from Denver, and we ended up in Albuquerque. And we just sat on the
Wow.
plane, but just looking out the window, it was so different. I was like, it feels so much like Mexico. But I'm excited to go
Mhm.
play there.
Well, good. That's going to be a beautiful place. Beautiful, beautiful. Jay, I would really be mad at myself if I hopped with this call and I didn't let the listeners hear more about you. So let's chit chat a little bit about your background, how you got started in music, what led you to Nashville, and just anything else in between that kind of has formed you as an artist and in making music and contributing to this thing called life. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, I think when I started making music, it was more of like a therapy to me. I found some old country tapes that my grandma had, and I was like, it's like one of my earliest memories is like putting the tape in the little cassette player and just like hearing music that made me feel like I wasn't the only one dealing with my little 5-year old problems at the time,
Oh,
like whatever that was. But, and it became like a therapy. Like whenever I became like a teenager and stuff, I would get on my laptop and try to make sounds and make things work together and record guitars and stuff, and just like trying to write those songs about what I was dealing with at the time. Obviously they wasn't the best songs, but it made me feel really good though to like get it out, and it was like an outlet to talk to somebody, even though it was like a microphone, about what I was going through. And it still is that, to be honest. It's never really changed.
So Alabama, born and raised. What part of Alabama are you from?
So my mom is from North Alabama, a little
Okay.
town called Coleman.
Coleman,
My
where
dad,
Rock the South is, right? That
that's right,
festival?
that's right, yep.
Yeah, dope. Okay.
And then my dad's from Mobile. So they divorced when I was 13 months old. My mom moved back to North Alabama, and I went back and forth to see my dad for the next 15 years. So I moved out at 15 and moved back to Mobile, where I went to high school and stuff. So
Yeah. So I grew up in this little bitty town in like the corner of Georgia. So like anytime I would drive to Nashville, it would be up through Coleman.
yeah.
And like, yeah, Mobile is yeah, that's a far drive. That's a far commute to
Oh,
see
yeah.
your folks, but I get
Oh,
it. I totally get it.
yeah. It was every other weekend for 15 years, a 5 hour drive each way. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. But, especially when you started writing music, I'm sure that gave you a lot of time to just kind of think about all of these different lyrics you could come up with and different stuff like that too. I don't know. I don't know if it added
Absolutely.
fuel to the fire or not.
Yeah, I mean, all we had to do back then, like, I didn't have a cell phone or anything, so like, I just had like 5 hours to listen to music and talk to my parents about whatever. So definitely a lot of deep bonding conversations over those drives, and a lot of breaking down on the side of the road. For some reason, it felt like
Oh,
we lived at AutoZone back then. Like, my dad was always
no.
trying to fix his truck, and I was just sitting in
Oh,
the heat, like, man, this really sucks. But
yeah. That sounds terrible. Oh my gosh. But no. So how long have you lived in Nashville? How long have you lived where you live now?
this will be a year and a half now.
Wow. Okay.
Me and my wife had moved back up to Coleman for a little bit just so I could be closer, because I was going to Wrights and stuff
And your
sometimes.
high school sweethearts. I read that,
That's
right?
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah,
so
we've been
nice.
together 12 years now, been married for a year. So, yeah.
That's so sweet.
Um, she's been everything to me. She helped pay my bills and stuff when I was recording in the closet for way too long, and for whatever reason she saw something in me. So she's definitely a huge part of the reason we're here right now. But yeah, Nashville's been great though, because living here we can just go to town. I can do rights, I can do production and everything, and we're just like, it feels like so much. All my friends are here now, and it's just like a big family. So
That's what I love about Nashville is just the opportunity of getting stuff done. Because it's like if you need somebody to lay down a track or you need somebody to like, I don't know, write something with you, you can pick up the phone and be like, "Hey, can you meet me in 15 minutes?" And it usually works out that way.
absolutely, yeah, it's so convenient.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jay, I've absolutely loved getting to talk to you and hear more about you. Listeners out there, again, where to find me. The album drops July 25th. Uh, and Jay, before we hop off the call, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to or anything else that you'd like to talk about or promote today?
I'd like to say my friend Eddie Everly has really helped me with this album. He produced the entire album. He is one of my best friends, and he always made the time. He's an artist as well, so he made the time to prioritize this album, and always does with all my music. And I got to give a shout out to him, give a shout out to God and my wife for the support. I'm truly blessed, and I'm very appreciative that everybody is excited to hear what I've been working on.
And it's coming real soon, July
Yes.
25th, everybody. And y'all heard about it here on Coda Country Chats with me, Leigh. Jay, thank you again so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you. Y'all have a good one.